Welcome back. Today I'm going to try to solve some chess puzzles, but these are going to be rated random puzzles rather than the few things I've been playing around with recently. For those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving or any other holiday, I hope you had a good one. I think I did, but let's just get right to this. And we are here on chess.com. This time I'm just going to click puzzles and we're going to get a random puzzle. My only goal for today is just to get better at chess. I'm going to try to ignore rating. I'm going to try to ignore puzzle themes and all those things that normally distract me and just look at the chessboard. That's pretty difficult. Here, I have a couple of checks, and that's the first thing I'm going to look at. I have a check with the bishop down to h7. I don't think that's good. I think the king just captures it, or the king could just move out of the way. There is also a check with my queen capturing on g7. I don't think that's necessarily good because, again, the king can just capture it. Now, in this case, the king doesn't have the option of moving out of the way. It's forced to capture. That's the only legal move. Now, in the case that it did, I guess I could follow that check with rook to g1. Now, what would the king do in that case? The king couldn't come out here because my e-pawn is guarding f6. It couldn't come forward because my rook would be cutting off that square. It couldn't go back or stay there because the rook would be cutting off those squares. And it couldn't go to h7 because my bishop over here is pointing there. So it would have to go into the corner. Then I would not have a follow-up check, I don't think. Because, I mean, I would. My rook could go all the way down to g8, but then their rook would just capture it. And my attack would be over, and I would only have a bishop left, and my opponent would have 3 pretty swell pieces left. So I don't think it's the queen sacrifice for that reason. I could move the rook over first, and that threatens checkmate. What would the opponent do in that case? They might push this pawn forward, and if they did, I could take it with the bishop, and then they could take with their f-pawn, and then I could capture with the queen. That's a possibility. So let's think about that. Rook to g1, just a threat of checkmate, because I don't have any captures other than that pawn in this position. So, and we've looked at all the checks. It looks like they all work out badly. So I'm going to look at threats. This threatens checkmate. Now, I was going to say I think that's the only defense they have, but it's not. They could also play g5, and it would be protected by their h-pawn. So I'm going to try rook to g1. That was it. Okay, well, I spent a lot of time, and it was one of the things I thought of, and they did play g6 instead of g5. I thought g5 would have been slightly better here, because that leaves this vulnerable to this attack. But they don't have to take back, right? They don't have to take back. That's the thing. Just in case, let's look at the queen sacrifice again. That forces the response here. No. If I take with the queen, they'll just take back, I'm sure. And then I would have a follow-up check with my rook, but then the king just gets out again. So I don't think that's it. I think it has to be the bishop. I think it has to be the bishop capturing on g6. Because it's not the queen. If I do the queen, we end up in the queenless situation where I don't have any follow-ups. But if I take with the bishop, they don't have to respond because they're not in check. They could respond by capturing, and if that's what I want them to do, if they do respond by capturing, I'm just going to take the pawn. But if they don't respond by capturing, what might they do? They could move the king over. I am at a loss, but I'm going to take the pawn with the bishop. Oh, that was right, and the king moved over like I thought. Should I go there with it? That's interesting. I just now thought of that. If I take my bishop to h7, if the king captures, well, that's mate on g7. And that also prevents their rook from moving over and prepares checkmate on g7. So I'm going to do that. Oh, that was the end of the puzzle. Well, that took a long time, and it was a lot easier than I thought. But I honestly expected them to play a different move at the beginning, so it threw me off. But I got 5 points, and that took 7 minutes. Hopefully, I will edit some of that out, but I'm going to go to the next puzzle. Okay, I don't feel really good about myself really good about my my performance on that last puzzle. Wow, I don't even know how to talk today. Okay. I am playing with the black pieces. It took me a second to figure that out. I do have a check. I have a check here. I have a check here. I have a check there. I think those are my only checks. Let's start with this pawn over here this rook over here on moving to b5 check. I think that one just loses a rook, and not much can be done about that. I like not checking because this threatens mate. I like moving that b rook over to g3. That threatens mate right here, and I'm not sure that they could do anything about it. Because, right, if I check right now on h7, rook to h7 check, they can get out any number of ways, and I'm pretty sure they would get out back here to g4, because that would prevent the next check with my other rook, and it would also allow them to hide behind that pawn. Maybe. Let's see. If I did that, and they went back here, yeah, I couldn't check with the other rook anymore. I could bring this back to check, but then they could just go back where they are. So that doesn't seem good to me. This also doesn't seem good because they would just capture. And same thing here. Those are my only three checks right now, and they all look bad to me. So I'm going to go with the threat here because I don't have any captures other than this pawn capture. I think if I capture with the pawn, that allows their rook in here, and then their rook is cutting this off. So if I move my rook, my b rook to g3, I'm threatening checkmate. What can they do about that? I don't think they can do anything. They can capture this pawn, threatening to promote, but it'll be too late because I'll have mate in 1. They could move a rook over to be pointing at this rook, but it wouldn't matter because I will have a mate in 1. So I'm going to try that. Oh, they did that? Well, this is just checkmate. Okay. I broke 2100. And again, I'm trying to ignore that, and I'm trying really hard just to reason these positions out and get better at chess. Okay, my knight is under attack. I am playing with the black pieces. I have a protected check here on f2. In that case, the king would have two choices, left or right, to g1 or e1, and I would have a follow-up check with my rook. If it went over to e1, I would have a follow-up check with the knight, capturing this pawn, which incidentally gets the knight out of danger. I don't think anything's better than checking there with my rook. Rook captures f2 check. But what if the king goes back? If the king goes back, I follow up with rook to f1 mate. So I don't think the king would go back. I think the king will go to e1. And then I will have to decide whether to follow with the further check there or over here. Wait, I think I could even check here with the rook protected. Yeah, that would be better. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Because here it's protected by the knight, and then that forces the king to move over, and then I'll have mate down there. Oh, and I got 11 points for that for some reason. It was rated 2175. Okay, well that one seemed a lot easier to me than the first puzzle I worked on, but again, I'm trying to not get distracted by those. I just know I'm solving puzzles. I am playing with the white pieces, and it looks like I'm down a piece. My opponent still has 3 minor pieces, and I only have 2 minor pieces. I'm also missing almost all my pawns. I'm down 2 pawns and a minor piece. But somehow, I probably have an advantage here. So let's see what that advantage could be. It could be, well, I have a check. I do have a check in this position. That's knight to e7 check. That would force the king to one of those 2 squares. Let's see, that is a safe check, right? Yeah, no opponent pieces guarding that square, and you can't block a knight check. My rooks are cutting off the entire f file, so the king would be forced over to the h file. And then I could move this rook here, and I think that would be mate. And the opponent doesn't have anything guarding that over there either, so that's what I'm going to do. That has to be mate. They can't block that, and they can't come out because the knight is guarding those squares. Okay, that one also seemed much easier than the first puzzle. But I think maybe... Okay, but anyway, let's focus on this puzzle. All I have left is a queen. My opponent has 2 rooks and a bishop, but their king is way out here and kind of vulnerable. My queen is currently under attack, so it might be a good idea to move it someplace. I just don't know where. Oh, no, I can't move my queen. I just realized that. I can't move my queen at all. Okay, I mean, I can. I can move it here, and I can move it there, and I can move it there. Those are the 3 choices I have with my queen right now. Okay, well, that simplifies things. If I don't check, I'm going to lose my queen. So I either have to check, which I can only do with the pawn because I can't move my queen. If I check with this pawn over here, that's one option. Wait, I think I saw it. Because first I saw if I check with this pawn, they're just going to take it. And then I'm still going to lose my queen. But then I realized that's their only legal move if I check there. Because all these other squares, my f pawn is protecting g6. My g pawn is protecting whatever that is, h5. And of course, my h pawn is protecting the g pawn. And my queen is protecting this square, but I'm about to lose my queen. So this is what I thought. What if I move my king up to g3? I assume they would take my queen. I don't know what other choice they would have. And then that would be checkmate with my pawn, because now my king would be guarding all those squares. So that's what I'm going to try. All right. And that's checkmate. Okay. That one was rated 2177. So if your puzzle rating is low and you're not getting puzzles rated that high, keep in mind some of the high-rated puzzles aren't that difficult. You just have to process of elimination. Okay. I'm not in check here, so that eliminates some things I have to worry about, but I'm about to be in check, pretty sure. I can be in check this way. I can be in check this way. That one looks really dangerous. If I take that rook, I don't know whether they would take back with the queen or their rook. But if they took back with their queen, I'd be in check, but then I would take with my queen. So not sure about that. Do I have any checks in this position? Oh, I do have a check right there. Okay, well, let's look at that first. I have another check over here too, but I think that one just loses to their queen. So I'm going to focus on queen to d4 check right there in the center of the board. In that case, they could bring that rook back to block the check. They could bring the other rook up to block the check, or they could get the king out of the way. And then this rook and this queen and things, they would all be sitting down there still, pointed at my king. So I don't think the check is the best move here, just because A, it's so easy for them to block that with either rook, and B, they could just step aside with their king. And then I wouldn't have a defender on this square anymore. Right now I have a defender on I have two defenders right now on f6. Well, 3 if you count my king. And I do. My king is a good defender sometimes. I do know that if I take that now with my rook captures f6, and they take back with their rook, and I take back with my queen, then they're going to take that rook over there, right? And then we'll just both have queens. And they'll be behind my passed pawn. So that's just trading 2 rooks, right? Boom, boom. We've each lost a rook. I got their second rook. They got my second rook. And I don't have a check from there. Actually, I do have a check from there. It's here with my queen. So if they did take that other rook, I would check from here. And their king could either go to the corner or out there. And then I could go down here and check. And if they had come out, they would have to start running. And then I could take this pawn. I'm going to do that. Oh, that was it. And then it would be this and that and that. Oh, they didn't take the rook. I thought they were going to take the rook. Okay. Well, should I just move my king then? Like move my king up one? I think that's what I'm going to do. Because if I move my king down one, they take the rook with check. If I block with my queen, then they take the rook. And then I don't have that back rank check anymore. Or this like I wanted. So I'm going to move my king up one. They did take the rook. Okay, it has to be the check, right? Not this check, because they would just capture. Or this check. We're not going to do those. But I think queen to b6 check is my best move here. It protects that pawn and it's a check. Oh, that was it. Okay, well then it doesn't make any sense to not go down there, right? Because that was my plan the whole time. It also doesn't make sense to come back over here because then we just can repeat moves. Oh, that was it. Okay, well then it has to be taking this pawn, right? Okay. Well, I got that. Okay, I've been doing this for almost 20 minutes, but I feel like most of that time, or a third of that time, was spent on that first puzzle, getting my head back in the game. Let's keep going. That famous last words, let's keep going. Okay. I have a couple of checks. I have the check with the rook down in the corner on h8. I have 2 different checks with the knight, one on e7 and one on f6. I don't like either one of the knight checks. I really don't. I think they could just capture either one of those. Their queen can capture on either of those squares. Let's see, just in case. Let's say their rook captures. I think that's what they would do. But I mean, again, they could capture either way. And I would have just lost a knight, and they would still have 2 power pieces pointed down here at my e-pawn. I would still have this possible check at that point, but then they would just get out, and they would have a queen sitting here protecting this rook. So what about that first? Let's do that first, right? Rook to h8 check. That leaves only one legal move. That is their king moving out to f7. I would have a follow-up check at that point. That would be putting my queen on h5, and then that would force the king here because my rook would still be cutting off those squares, and my knight's cutting off these squares, and my queen would be cutting off all of those squares. So then once the king went to e6, then I think that would, no, that wouldn't be mate because their queen could then block. Oh, but then I could take their queen with my knight. I'm going to try that. Okay. That was my suggested follow-up move. I don't see anything better than that. I really don't. I don't think it's a good idea to take this pawn on f5. I think their queen would just capture. And then I couldn't capture back because my pawn would be pinned by that rook. So I think it has to be queen to h5, which is what I originally suggested. Let's just do that. That was it. Oh, they blocked with the pawn. I didn't expect that. Okay. Well, then I should check down there. Or should I check there with the rook? I think if I check there with the rook, then the king can go back to where it was. It has multiple choices. If I check there with the queen, my rook is still cutting off that, and my queen is still cutting off the entire 7th rank, and my knight is still cutting that off. So then they would have to go here, and then I would take the pawn, I guess. I'm not sure, but I'm going to check down there on h7 with my queen. Okay, it must have been the rook then. All right. It was the rook. Oh, and that was the end of the puzzle. I'm not sure why that was the end of the puzzle. Okay, I'm going to go to the analysis board. Okay. Well, I got that one right. And their king went there, and I got that right. And they blocked with the pawn. I don't know if that was their best move or not. Okay, now rook to h7 is the only move that maintains my advantage. Okay, what's the problem with queen to g7? I mean, queen to h7. That gives my opponent a slight advantage. Oh, is that because they can still block with the queen? Okay. And if they did that, then we would just trade queens, and then I would have to trade rooks. Oh, and then I would only have a knight left for their rook, I guess. Okay. All right. So it made much more sense to check this way. Well, it still says that they would block with their queen, but I want to know why they wouldn't just go back to g8. Oh, it says then I would have mate in 2 because I would check here. And now if they blocked with the queen, I would just take it. Okay. And if they moved over, then that would be mate. Okay, well, I don't know what to say about that. I'm going to click next puzzle because I have a few minutes left. All right, their queen has gone into the corner. I don't know why. I think that's fairly obvious down there, isn't it? If I check, the only legal move would be for them to capture with their bishop, and then I would have a check here and then mate there. So that's what I'm going to do. And then go check here, and then mate here. Okay, well, that one seemed pretty easy. But also, oh, that one was only rated 1700. Okay. All right, one more, at least. I am playing with the black pieces. They have just moved out of check. I was check. No, they weren't in check there. Wait, yes, they were in check there. Wow, I thought for a second that knight over there was mine, but that knight is theirs. But I was checking with the bishop. That's why they moved their king over. All right, I can check again with the bishop, but then they could just go back. Oh, I can check with the pawn. I can check with 2 different pawns. I can check with my h pawn on h5 or my f pawn on f5. Would one of those be better than the other? Yes. I think the h pawn to h5 would be better because these pawns would be protecting all of those squares, and that would be mate. That was checkmate with just h5. Okay. Oh, well, I have time for more. Okay. Their queen has moved out of check because my rook was pointed down there, I guess. I don't know what they should have done instead because my knight's guarding that square. But I have a queen way over here near their king, which seems very nice. But I don't know exactly what I should do with it. I don't think I should take this rook with my g-rook because they would take back with check. Then I would have to figure that out. They would be in check. I think they would basically be forced to take back. I mean, obviously they could move out of the way, but I don't think that they would. I think they would take with their queen, and then I would be in check, and their rook would be guarding here, and I would be in some big trouble. This rook over here is currently helping to protect that rook as well as my knight. But I need to do something with this queen in the corner. She's kind of worthless right now. I can check on a1. That looks like the king just comes out this way. But then I could win that rook. But then they would have check down here. Maybe that was their plan. Maybe that's why they moved that queen over there in the first place, because they have this down here. Oh my. I'll have to be careful about that. But yeah, their only legal move at that point, right, would be for the king to go here. But then I could follow it over this. Oh no, the knight would capture there. All right. I could also check on a3. But then the king would have 1, 2 legal moves, not to mention the knight blocking. 3 legal moves if I checked on a3. So I don't think it's a3 because there's too many choices. This one only leaves 1 legal move. But then what? Then I take this rook with my queen, and then they check me down here. I don't know. I'm about to run out of time. I'm just going to do it. That was it. Okay. So what should I take the rook with? My rook or my queen? I think if I take with my queen, do you think they would take back or would they check me? If they checked me, I would go here, and then I don't know what they would do. But again, I don't want to check there because of the knight. I don't think I want to take the rook with my rook, and this is why. Because I don't think they would take back. I think they would check me here, and when I moved out of check, they would check me again, and then I would lose this other rook. But right now, these 2 rooks are protecting each other. So even if I got out of check somehow like this, the 2 rooks would still be protecting each other, as well as the knight protecting that rook. So I think I want to take that rook with my queen. Oh, yeah, see, they did check me. And then I'm going to move out of check, I think. Well, I don't have a choice. I have to move out of check. What? Why was that a move in the puzzle? It was the only legal move. Oh, goodness. I have time for one more. Famous last words. Let's do it. Do I have any checks? I do have a check here. Don't see any other checks. If I check with the bishop on h2, I think they would just move out of the way. They wouldn't capture it because they can't capture it. My queen's back here. But they could move out of the way one of 2 ways. So I don't know. Do I have any captures? I can capture the bishop with my pawn or my rook. But if I captured with the pawn, I think if I captured their bishop with my pawn, I think they would take back with their rook. And then if I took back with their rook, I mean, wow. What is up with my pronouns today, or my possessive pronouns? Okay. If I captured their bishop with my pawn, I think they would capture back with their rook. And then if I captured their rook with my rook on f6, they could take it with their queen. And that would be check. And then we would have a perpetual situation, maybe? I don't know. Maybe I should capture this pawn over here and see what happens. Oh, that was it. Okay. Well, then they've done that. So now what? Ooh, now do I pull this back here? If I pull this back here, I think they're just going to check me again. Maybe. Oh, should I check with this bishop now? That's pretty forcing. It would force them to take. It is pretty forcing, and they would be forced to capture back with their king on g2, and I would have a follow-up check by queen to b7, but then they would capture the other bishop, and I don't know. I don't know what I would have. So what about my suggestion of pulling this bishop back to whatever that is, e5? Do you think they would check first and then let me take it? Or do you think, because if they took back with their bishop, I would go down here and check with my rook. I'm going to do that. Oh, that was wrong. All right. What about this? Was that it? Oh, that was it. Oh, and then I was supposed to go here. Okay. And then what was after that? Well, I don't want to go here or there. Pretty sure. Now do I want to take this with my rook? Oh. Well, I've gone over my time. I don't have time to analyze that one. Let's just leave it and say I'm a little confused on that, but I think I ended up with a decent puzzle rating, although it doesn't show me what it is here, which is a little frustrating by the way that this thing is laid out. So I have to go to my stats page, and we'll see that if I go to puzzles, then we'll see that I am rated 2136. So I made a net gain of 46 points in this video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.